All right, welcome to the first nightly episode. Today I'm just going to talk about whatever's on my mind recently, which there's usually a lot, so you're in luck. I've been thinking a lot about our culture recently. I mean, I got a red pill background right now, but I'm not in the red pill. There's a lot of ideas that I agree about the right, but I'm not on the right. There's a lot of ideas that I agree about on the left, but I'm not on the left. And it makes me think about where all of this is going because there appears to be this new middle ground that's forming where those of us are agnostic to the paradigms that fixate you and containerize you into a specific paradigm. How could you be on the left or the right or believe this or that? Because everything is everything. And when everything's everything, everything's nothing at the same time. But also, even that's another paradigm. You get into the new age spiritual people, and that's kind of weird. Where are the people that are just real? You can see it, right? I mean, sometimes you'll interact with some people, and you'll see the what they call it, the fluoride stare. You'll see the fluoride stare, and you'll be talking about something meaningful, and they just won't get it. The more interactions I have with people, I recognize those same effects happening in real time, basically all the time. It appears as though some of us here are real and some of us are not real. And it's always dumbfounded me in a way why we listen to people who are not real. I mean, you basically have no value whatsoever when you're not even who you are. Up until then, you're just a mirage of yourself. You're almost not even there. I mean, even when you're like deeply in pain and having problems and in traumatic effects and all these things, you're still not really even yourself. You're kind of a ghost of yourself. And I think that's what we're really witnessing half the time in reality when we're talking with people, people in politics, people that agree with my side or don't agree with my side or this or that. We're dealing with energies and people that don't necessarily have all of their faculties in order. And so those that obviously want to have their message heard the most are those that are so desperate for wanting their message to be heard in the first place. And those that usually have the most intelligent answer are so fed up and done with society that they basically don't want to convince anyone of anything anymore. That's kind of where I'm at. I think that there's a lot of people like this as well. There's a lot of people that, oh man, like, what the heck do I do in this whole weird and wacky realm that we exist within? I mean, am I an alien? Was I dropped off here to experience this in a way to like torment my soul because of how soul crushingly dumb it is? I mean, half the time I have those kind of thoughts as well. Like, man, if the whole world was thinking in the way that myself and other people around me think, I don't see how we'd have hardly any problems. It seems like the realm in of itself is one ongoing problem. But there is beauty in the world. There's beauty in things that are not perfect. And maybe that's the whole purpose of it. The whole purpose of the game is not to make reality better, not to make it so that it's perfect for everyone, because that isn't the right environment for growth. You need to grow, you need to evolve, you need to become something more than what you are. And oftentimes when we look at your life, I mean, I was going through hard times. I mean, shit, half my 20s, I was basically homeless and broke and had a bunch of problems. I mean, not too many problems, but just dumb problems that I could have gotten over of, but I decided really not to. Maybe that was my own thing. Well, we need problems. We need things to get over. We need challenges. We need things that help us grow. The thing is with me, I guess, when I was growing up, I wasn't really told that any of the things that I'm interacting with was all holistically put together, right? I mean, I remember going to school and you're trying to do mathematics and simple addition and division and multiplication, whatever, and you're being taught how to play with numbers, or you're reading letters and you're trying to interpret that into words and then comprehend what you're reading. I don't know if all my teachers just sucked, but they didn't really explicitly tell me that everything that we're building here or we're learning is building our own energetic and mental system for interpreting the world. I almost needed that part even as well explicitly told to me that that's what we're doing. What is the engagement of learning, and how is the learning taking place, and where is it located, and how can you use these things? To me, taking 2 plus 2 to make it 4, you can write that on paper, but I almost needed 2 apples plus 2 apples, and you combine them, and there's 4. And I need to create a body for each object of what I'm learning. And that was why I failed in school. I mean, I think my GPA graduating was like 2.7 or something. So I didn't really work out in the school system at all. It's just a tremendous failure. But now, all I basically do is play around with mathematics and a bit of science, a bit of quantitative financial stuff, a bit of everything that I used to be terrible at are now my specialty. And I think that this is what happens in our life in a way. Our problems, the things that we're bad at first, become the things that we try to overdevelop so much so that they become our greatest gifts. They become the thing that, oh man, like I mastered this now. And the reason why I wanted to master it was because I was so bad at it. So that inherently requires that you first have to experience a compartment of yourself that is disconfigured and not properly put together to then put it together properly. So having things in an unorganized format determines what you're then going to do for the next period of your time, because you're probably going to be so focused on putting it back together. So putting things together, building things, designing things, reorganizing our perception, that's the main thing that we're all interested in doing. I mean, I'm doing this stuff all the time. When I look at YouTube, right, that's what I'm doing right now, I'm scrolling through YouTube. I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be honest. I see a bunch of dumb videos. Dumb videos that don't make sense. They don't put together anything useful. Again, they're mirages and ghosts of higher concepts, but strung together in ways that don't actually help anything. They're just content. Content, content, content. Everywhere there's content. And I've been thinking, how can we attack this problem? How can we attack the problem of there being simply too much content without any content within it? It's a perceptual thing as well. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to grow as a person. And in a way, I can find growth in basically anything. You know, I can talk to a homeless person and I'll find something extremely useful in that. And there's other people who say that, oh, if they're broke, don't even talk to them because they don't know anything. Right? That's another paradigm of living in a system where you have to have all these things in order to be seen as successful. And you could Google my name, and I don't have anything on paper that would make me appear, at least legally, that I have anything put together at all. I mean, it would basically be a skeleton of who I am. But if you were to scan into my internal world, if you were to scan into who I've become, where I've been, the lessons I've gained, the knowledge I have, that's a far more predictive structure of who I actually am and who I will be. I think we're all like this in a way, where we have these containers of what the world wants to put on us. My ID, identification, my name in all capital letters, this, that, or whatever. We have these multiple fragmented identity systems that we live within. Parents think you're a certain way. Your friends think you're another way. You can have 5 different friends, but be perceiving yourself in 5 different ways, comparing yourself to 5 different friends. And so therefore you're practically scattered in of your own self half the time when you just interact with people. I mean, that's real too. So much of your life is this kind of stuff. And to me, I was never taught this stuff at all. Like I said, maybe you don't have to be taught it because you have to learn it. And that's the beauty of life in a way. Like, you go through life, oh, I didn't know this thing and now I learned it. And now I appreciate it so much more because I never had it. So I'm often thinking, okay, how can we give people the right credentials, give them the right stepping stones and blocks to build themselves from that can actually be beneficial. Again, there's all this talk in the holistic communities and the different communities that talk about raising children properly and not traumatizing your kids and this kind of stuff. But man, the whole basis of my identity and how I became the person I am today is foundationally rooted in trauma. It's foundationally rooted in having a bad time growing up. I grew up, I felt terrible, man, about everything. I felt terrible about life. My life felt like a living hell all the time. I hated myself. I hated myself so much I'd look in the mirror and just cry half the time. At night, I remember I'd basically have like a nightly ritual where I'd look in the mirror at night, everyone's asleep, and I'd just look there and stare into my eyes and cry about the very existence of being anything at all. And I just felt this tremendous pain and suffering about life. It was terrible. Don't have that anymore, but I mean, that was real. I had that. And my whole life is essentially going through that process and essentially becoming real to myself because maybe that was a whole big illusion. This pressure, this denseness we feel to shape and change the world, shape and change ourselves. I mean, we feel this deep thing inside us that we have to like become something now. Otherwise, we're gonna be in some perpetual tormented realm forever. That's what it felt like, right? Isn't that what hell is? Hell is a state of mind. Hell is a state of being where you just hate yourself. And you don't even know why you hate yourself. So that's why it feels like forever, because you don't even have a chance at figuring it out. You don't have a chance at even knowing why you're in the condition you're in. You just are. It's crazy. And we all are interacting with certain paradigms that are like this. Certain paradigms that keep us trapped in our reality. And we don't know why. And no one has told us. And the ones who do tell you, they don't even know. Let's be real. They don't even know. Because the moment you start asking these questions, there are these simple and very traditional and predictable set of belief systems that people try to place on over top of you that don't even solve the answers. I mean, like religion, for instance. Like, I could never turn to religion for any of this stuff. In fact, the root cause of my trauma, of what kind of made me go crazy growing up, was that I was taught religion to mask over what I felt that the religion couldn't help with. I mean, this is why a lot of young men in particular are turning away from churches and social gatherings because no one understands them. No one understands what they really go through. Because, for instance, I mean, no one really cares. If you're a young man, if you're a young white male in this world, no one cares. They just assume that you're a predator or you've done something wrong or you're about to do something wrong. So you're potentially one of those things. It's crazy that we live in this increasingly divided world, while at the same time, there's this air about it where we're all ascending into like this peace structure and everything's going to be all right. For the modern man or woman, I guess, but particularly speaking for the modern man, it's not apparent that things are going to get better for you. See, I remember growing up and kind of I felt like all my adults around me, they really knew what to do. I mean, when you're younger, you're a young kid. The adults have a type of energy where they just know things, right? Because they're driving around in trucks, they're going to work, they're older, they're bigger. They just know things, right? But as you get older and you become an adult and join that structure where you're almost equal to that, you realize that adults, they actually don't really know what they're doing at all. You as a young kid, you just weren't perceptually aware of the things that they were going through because when you're a young kid, everything's new, everything's brand new, everything's whatever. And so you don't even think about the kind of stuff that adults have to think about. So you just don't even know. You don't even know what you don't know. Your whole life is like this. You don't know what you don't know until you know a little bit more. And then you do. And then you find you probably increase in the size of things that you don't know. And you keep on scaling through that information. Keep on filling in gaps of information that you don't yet know. And the more you know, it increases the gap. It's that way with basically everything up until, you probably do hit a threshold where that curve starts to invert and you do start to actually, figure some things out about a couple things. And maybe I'm there with a lot of different topics now. And so are those the kind of people that we should be, I don't know, listening to? It seems like the lowest common denominator is the one that's ruling our world, right? Doesn't it kind of seem that way, that if you are in a very low position, you're almost now becoming at the place of where the hierarchy is switched now, where we value the most. If you're low, the lowest of the low, we now accelerate you to the top. And those of us who are becoming real, who are choosing to be real, we get left behind. No one cares. It makes me think of this one video I watched the other day. It was like a short little clip. It was, the only reason that you're not ahead right now is because you're not out there scamming people or selling people a fake dream or being a different version of yourself or whatever. I think it's true. That is the reason I'm not as far ahead as I probably could be. Because I know people who have done that. I know where they are now. And I know the deep sadness that they feel for never actually finding the things that were real within them. When you sell your soul, metaphorically speaking, because you probably can't do it to the degree of how we think about those things per se. Maybe you actually can, I don't know. But when you sell your soul, it's as if you're putting a timestamp where you're turning a different direction in your timeline. And in order for you to change back to where you have to correct that, you have to go back to where you put that original timestamp to then live authentically from that position, change your direction. It seems like quantumly and energetically that's what's happening. And this is why when you're a young person, I think it's very important to value things that perhaps the culture doesn't value. Because the culture right now, they value money, material success, Lamborghinis, this kind of stuff, fame, status, appearance. They don't really value the things that are real, the things that are invisible to your character, the things that are behind you in a sense. Right? We all have this panoramic 180-degree screen of reality right in front of us. Where do your edges of your canvas start, begin, and end? And where does it stop? This is your front-facing screen. Then behind you is all your development. That's the server, in a sense, of your development. That's where the learning takes place. Behind you, you can close your eyes and find that you're basically a 360-degree world. And that's a whole other thing. So we're immersed within this net, within this grid system of energy and holographic light. And our immediate sense is that we have to learn something. Every moment, it feels as though we're intaking information so we can learn something. So what is it we have to learn? A lot of things to learn. But the more what I've learned is that half the things that you think you have to learn, you don't have to learn it all. You don't. Half the things that you think are super important, super meaningful right now, they're not. It's not important. No one cares. And it won't help you with anything. And that's what you have to learn. You have to learn the right things to learn for you. And there are probably collective idea structures which universally are things we all should learn. But man, half of it is just figuring out who you are now and determining from where you are what you need to learn next to unveil that next layer of yourself to yourself. Life in a way, we're not really taught that that's what you should be doing here. Escaping the Matrix. Zach's about to post a video here about that. Escaping the matrix is all about, I don't know. In a way, escaping the matrix is being taught to you as if it's still a physical thing. You need money, you need to be free financially, and that's how you escape the system and slavery. I'll tell you what, man, I've worked some really dumb jobs. Really dumb. Dumb jobs, man, for dumb amounts of money. And it has really helped me in a way enter into my own personal matrix of why I need to escape the matrix at all. Sometimes you can find yourself in things that you wouldn't expect to find yourself in. Some of my most meaningful jobs that I've had, we want to hate on this whole 9 to 5 slavery thing. Some of my most meaningful jobs were working in the kitchen, cleaning dishes, and watching the master chefs do their work. And when I was really obsessed with food and I really loved cooking and stuff like this, and I wasn't quite ready to be a cook yet because I was brand new to the kitchen, so all I can do is wash dishes. Some of my most meaningful jobs were where I was engaged in the process of developing and learning, where I wasn't at this pinnacle end point of myself, but I was in the process of becoming. Escaping the matrix is in a way, a feeling that will happen. Maybe it is a feeling. Maybe you escape the matrix through feeling through no longer needing to escape the matrix, but being content with where you are now. That seems like what it is. Like I said, you're not going to escape the matrix by making money, by doing all this extra stuff. Those that are talking about escaping the matrix have just changed into another matrix. And it's called religion. Allah or Christianity or Jew or Judaism or New Age, or it's all a belief system, a plug-in, an add-on plug-in store that you can grab certain ideas and install them into your mind. But you'll find when you get to the baseline functionality of yourself, you don't require any of these things. In fact, when you think you need these things, what you really need is something else, which is to be completely and totally real with yourself. And oftentimes, the reason why we grab to these really predictive and preset templates of ideas is because we actually don't want to feel through the truth of that we actually don't know. Something happens when you feel through who you are and you find those crevices and those unknown parts of yourself. When you can find those pieces to yourself that you don't want to feel. Something happens when you do that. I don't know what it is. I've experienced it tons of times, but something happens when you can do that. When you can feel into the things that you desperately don't want to feel into at all. In fact, we go our whole lives basically not wanting to feel that shit at all. We get enveloped in food, in addictions, in social media, TV shows, whatever it is. There's always something that we can overlap over top of our reality, overlay, and delay our progress and delay feeling. All this increasingly sense of technological advancement can be that for you. We're creating more and more distractions so that we can further not learn the things we're supposed to learn. While at the same time, it seems like half of us aren't even aware of what we're even supposed to learn at all. And another subdivision of that half isn't even aware that we're even supposed to learn at all. That's sort of where we're going with this. So these are the things I think about. These are the things that I think, okay, how would we do any of this stuff? How would we architect a better world? How would we put together a system that inspires people to want to change and grow and develop and make that cool again? Because, when I was growing up, it wasn't necessarily cool, but I had to make it cool. I started my self-development journey when I was 15. Like I said, I had a hard time going through high school and stuff. I went to a different high school where it was more private and one-on-one when I was 15. And that was helpful for me. It wasn't a private school. It was more like the school where all the dumb kids go. But I, in a way, didn't belong there because I was starting a business when I was 15. And so I actually was just more interested in starting my business, not attending school. So I went to school one day a week so I could focus on that. But yet I was at the same time I had a 2.3 GPA. It's just a weird story when I look at back at it. I think that I was learning to pave the way for myself. But I was trying to pave the way out of distrust. I didn't trust the systems around me. I didn't trust the people around me. I didn't trust the structure and the fabric of reality. Hell, half the time I didn't even trust that if I went back to sleep, I'd even wake up the next day, because half the time it doesn't even seem like I was in reality at all. I was dissociated completely from reality as a thing. I just wasn't even here half the time. I was in another place. Thankfully, because I don't even know if I'd survive if I wasn't. So how many people are like that right now? They're in that similar level of development, and they don't even know that that's what they're in. I guess the thing that made me different is I just decided to move out of it. I decided to move out of the kind of weird frame of mind where you can be in, where like nothing matters, life sucks, I hate myself, whatever. Something within me called to me to get out of that frequency range of interacting with life. And from there, the miracle of how all that stuff works just happened, and through time compression, and now I'm here. Everything just worked out. So it's weird how that happens. There is this invisible orchestrator to reality. In a way, we are that front-facing character while other things behind us are interacting. It may not be quite like a puppet show thing, but you can start to learn to interact with yourself where you let go of the you-ness of your reality, and you allow for that higher form of you to take control, and you switch between this new type of autopilot system, and in a way you don't even know what you're about to do next, because you're what they call like in the flow state. Maybe that's what they call flow. Is flow just having that energy of being connected to God? Is God just the flow state in a way? I mean, it's obviously much more than that. I mean, like I said before, I mean, half the people on, probably more than half, 90% of people don't even know where we actually exist in reality on this plane. You know what I mean? They're shown nice pictures of CGI Earth, and oh yeah, that's where we're living at, right? You have to critically think about every angle of how ideas put you into a box, put you into a circle that you can't escape from. So many things are like that. There is this deep occult magic in a way that is out there, and wanting to deceive you. That is true. It feels something true to that, but only to the degree of how much you allow that thing to hurt you. And really, can you even be hurt at all? Like I was saying before, I mean, when I was looking in the mirror when I was a younger kid, just crying, just like looking into the mirror and just feeling down on myself, whatever, missing home, whatever home felt like to me, just missing the feeling of where I'm supposed to be or something. I was deeply trying to reach out to a form of me which existed in the future in a way. And we're all trying to do that. We're trying to reach into a feeling that we don't yet know is available, but we can feel into it to where we have it now. And that, in a way, completes your world. And often we have to go through life to learn like our inner mappings of how to feel correctly into the body and into the whole system. And that's a whole other thing: body, technology, education. You're never taught any of that in school. You're just taught physical fitness. Whatever, there's a whole realm of education which has not even been unlocked yet. I think we need to unlock it. And we just have to figure out what that would have to look like right now. So I'm thinking about it.